You wake up Monday morning determined. Today's the day you finally have the discipline. You'll skip the junk food. You'll hit the gym. You'll focus. But by 3 p.m., you're scrolling mindlessly. By evening, you've ordered takeout again. And here's the brutal truth: scientists have been lying to you about why this happens. Willpower isn't real. And once you understand that, everything changes. In 2011, psychologist Roy Baumeister published a study that became gospel. The idea was simple: willpower is a limited resource. Use it on one task, and you'd have less for the next. Resist a cookie, and you'd be weaker when facing temptation later. It made perfect sense. It felt true. And the world believed it. Universities taught it. Self-help gurus built empires on it. Then came 2016. A massive replication study involving over 2,000 participants found something shocking: ego depletion barely exists. The effect was so small it was essentially meaningless. Baumeister's own lab tried to replicate his findings. They couldn't. The myth had been built on a foundation of sand. But here's what's fascinating: most people never heard about this. The debunking didn't go viral. The original myth did. And that tells you everything about how your brain works. You believe the story that feels true, not the one that is true. So if willpower isn't real, why does it feel so real? When you resist temptation, something absolutely happens in your brain. Your prefrontal cortex activates. Your dopamine fluctuates. Your glucose levels shift slightly. You feel the strain. But here's the critical distinction: feeling something and it being the mechanism are two different things. Think of it like this. When you watch a magic trick, something feels inexplicable. But that feeling doesn't mean magic is real. It means you're experiencing the trick. Your brain is interpreting signals, but the interpretation isn't the truth. Neuroscientist Sabine Steenberg studied people attempting self-control tasks. She found that belief mattered far more than actual physiology. People who believed willpower was finite performed worse. People who believed willpower was unlimited didn't experience fatigue. Same brain. Same task. Different outcome. Your expectation literally rewrote your neurology. This is the placebo effect applied to self-control. You've been trained since childhood to believe in willpower. So your brain generates the sensation to match your belief. But the sensation is noise. It's not the actual mechanism of change. So what actually controls behavior if willpower doesn't? Habit loops. Environmental design. Social context. Dopamine schedules. Neurobiologist James Clear spent decades studying behavior change, and his finding was revolutionary: 99% of what you do is autopilot. You're not deciding. You're executing programs your brain learned long ago. Your morning routine isn't willpower. It's habit. You don't consciously decide to brush your teeth. You do it because the neural pathway is so worn that your brain runs it automatically. This applies to everything. Eating habits. Procrastination. Exercise. Addiction. Success. They're all systems, not choices. Here's a real example. In the 1950s, a cigarette company wanted to understand why smokers smoked. They discovered it wasn't about addiction in the moment. It was about triggers. Smokers lit up after meals, during stress, after sex, when waiting. The trigger was automatic. The behavior followed. No willpower required. So when you try to use willpower against habit, you're fighting a system that evolved to not require conscious thought. You're bringing a knife to a gunfight. You've already lost. This is where most people get discouraged. If willpower's fake and habits control everything, aren't you just a puppet? Not quite. Understanding the system is the first step to hacking it. You can't delete habits through willpower. But you can redesign the trigger. You can reshape the environment. You can change the schedule of rewards. Here's the radical shift: stop trying to have more discipline. Start redesigning your life so discipline isn't necessary. Stanford researcher B.J. Fogg calls this motivation design. If you want to exercise more, don't motivate yourself harder. Make the gym on your walk home. Store your workout clothes on your coffee maker. Tie the new behavior to something you already do automatically. Your morning coffee becomes the trigger for 5 push-ups. Not because you have willpower. Because the trigger does the heavy lifting. Your brain doesn't choose. It just follows the path of least resistance. So make the healthy choice the path of least resistance. Want to eat healthier? Don't buy junk food. Your willpower at the grocery store is irrelevant if temptation isn't in your house. Want to focus? Delete the apps. Don't rely on concentration. Make distraction physically impossible. This isn't willpower. This is intelligent design. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're partnering with how your brain actually works. There's one element that neuroscience actually proves works. It's not willpower. It's identity. Who you believe you are controls what you do more than any external force. A study from Northwestern University tracked people trying to quit smoking. The ones who succeeded weren't the ones with the most willpower. They were the ones who shifted their identity from smoker to non-smoker. Not someone quitting. Someone who doesn't smoke. The identity did the work. Your brain constantly tries to stay consistent with your self-image. If you see yourself as lazy, your brain generates behaviors to match. If you see yourself as disciplined, your brain does the same. Psychologist James Clear calls this identity-based habits. Don't say I want to work out. Say I'm someone who moves every day. Don't say I want to eat healthy. Say I'm someone who fuels my body right. These aren't affirmations. They're instructions to your identity system. Every small choice becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. Skip the junk food, and you're voting for health. Show up to practice, and you're voting for excellence. Your identity catches up to your votes. This is what actually changes people. Not discipline. Identity shift. Not willpower. Self-conception. The systems, habits, and environment create the conditions. But identity is the glue that holds it all together. Identity is what makes change stick. Willpower is a myth. But your identity is real. The way you see yourself is the most powerful force in your brain. Stop trying to force yourself into discipline. Start building systems. Redesign your environment. Shift your identity. Let your brain do what it's evolved to do: automate success. If this changed how you think about self-control, subscribe and hit the bell. We break down the real science behind what actually changes people every week. Thanks for watching.